Hello and welcome to the first podcast from Houlton School, recorded in our brand new school in the former Rugby International radio station. Over 4 episodes, pupils and staff from the STEM department will explore ideas around STEM education and the questions our pupils want answering, like what to do when you don't have any ideas, how science is being used to combat climate change, and why is some packaging so frustrating to open. This episode will discuss the question, how is science being used to combat climate change? Joining the discussion is Mr. Griffin, Daisy, Max and Raphael, and of course me, Mr. Hill. So let's start with a opening question from Mr. Griffin.
Okay, so our question today is all about climate change and how science can be used to combat climate change. So the first one that we're going to discuss are what strategies are there for combating climate change. So Raphael, I'm going to come to you first. What strategies do you know of that can be used to combat climate change?
I feel like one of the strategies of combating climate change would be consuming less plant-eating animals, so cows, pigs, because that releases methane, which is not good for the planet, because the methane is sent to a very...
It's a greenhouse gas, isn't it? It's a greenhouse gas that goes into the atmosphere and that can start to warm the planet. Yeah, so certainly that's definitely one. Think about how many animals we farm. Excellent. Daisy, what about you? Have you got any thoughts?
Well, there's also electric cars. People are reducing the amount of petrol and stuff that goes in the air.
Yeah.
So lots of companies are not going from petrol cars, but are also going to electronic cars.
Yeah, that's good. Now, both of those things that you've said, they both can slow down global warming, can't they? But they don't reverse it. So, Max, we know that trees can absorb carbon dioxide. So how do you think trees could be used to kind of potentially reverse climate change?
Well, if we stop chopping down trees, it would be much more better because yes, we use a lot of paper in our work and all that, but if we start to save more paper and stop chopping more trees down, it would be much more better for the earth. And if we say we chop one tree down and then we should plant 2 others, so it will be much more better.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just about reducing the amount of trees that we chop down, it's actually trying to replant a lot of those trees so that we start to absorb some of the carbon dioxide that we've put into the atmosphere. So that's really interesting, actually, because we know as a society that they're the problems and some of the solutions potentially to climate change. But countries find it really difficult to do this. Why do we think countries find it difficult to actually combat climate change? What do you think, Daisy?
Well, maybe it's because of money. Maybe because factories.
Yeah.
If there's, I'm just going to use cement factory. They are going less, but they might produce more gases and. I think if you try to stop it, business is going to go down, and then people are going to lose money, and then that's just going to cause massive change.
Yeah, they're worried about money, aren't they? So Raphael, I mean, you might have seen in the news this week, actually, that India have agreed to have net zero carbon by 2070, which is 20 years after the UK want to achieve carbon neutral emissions. Why do we think that is? Why are countries, and I'll pose this to Raphael and to Max, why do you think countries like India might find it harder than the United Kingdom to be carbon neutral sooner?
Probably because so in India there's a lot of pollution, so that's probably why they want to start earlier, because in the UK there's not that much pollution as in India, so that's probably why they want to start earlier.
Yeah, so they definitely need to start, don't they? So Raphael, why is it harder for India, perhaps, compared to the United Kingdom?
I feel like because India is a big place and there's more people, more people that are dependent on plant-eating animals, electric cars. Plus, it's harder. There's a bigger community to stand with those.
Yeah, well, and what about the amount of money that India has compared with the United Kingdom? Because it's quite easy for us to build wind turbines and solar farms, but is it as easy for India to do so when they don't have as much money?
I think it comes down to money and how much you're willing to sacrifice. price to help the planet.
Yeah, because it does cost a lot of money, doesn't it? It does cost a lot of money to do this, and if you don't have a lot of money in the first place, then potentially it's very, very challenging to do. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that one, anyone? No? So let's move on then. Let's think about STEM education, so science, technology, engineering and maths. Why do we think it's important that you guys and children across the world study STEM subjects when you're thinking about challenging large issues like climate change? Daisy, let's come to you first.
Well, when we're older, I mean, there's a lot of, lots of our jobs, we need a lot of these stuff, and it means because we're going to be the next generation, so if we need to learn about this stuff. So if we want, it depends on our jobs when we're older. If we want to, then we can combat it when we're older.
Yeah, good, Raphael.
I feel like STEM gives us a lot of like opportunities, and because STEM helps us, like, gives the reason that we have access to all these resources that can help us combat climate change. So yeah.
Good. And Max?
Well, STEM. Well, if we study STEM and when we're older, if we say some people would want to become a scientist, and because it's like the new generation, you would think of much better ideas. Everyone's different, so they will think of better ideas, and you could put them all together, and then maybe you could fight climate change.
Yeah, I really like that idea about getting as many people involved with it as possible, because the more people that are involved with it, the more ideas that we're going to have. And when we're thinking about this, we're thinking about diversity and inclusivity, so that we've got lots of people from different backgrounds, from all different areas of life, so that we're all kind of joining in together to solve some of these problems.
I mean, just on that point, and I really appreciate your views on that, because as staff members in a school teaching STEM subjects, it's really interesting and important that we have your approaches to it and your thinking. I know I can only speak for sort of DT and things, but we will end up doing quite a lot around kind of refuse, rethink, reuse, and the 6 Rs. And I think your generation, like you said, Daisy, will be the generation that are able to use that refuse quite a lot, and you will end up actually refusing to use some materials, some products, some processes, because of the damage it does to our environment and climate. And I think at the moment it's happening, but it's probably not happening as much as we can. But opportunities like this, where we get to have a chat, and I even get to listen to your views from a science perspective, that will definitely infiltrate what we do in DT, and hopefully some of the other STEM subjects as well.
Yeah, and you can cross over between the subjects, can't you? So we will learn about climate change in the future, and then in DT you will learn about design, and you ultimately put the two together. So you've got a problem, and you think, right, how do I use my design skills to solve this problem? Or if I have an idea, how do I best design a product that is going to achieve what I want it to achieve from a scientific perspective?
Yeah, I think, and you're lucky, your next sort of investigation or kind of expedition, if you like, in learning is you're going to take junk and you're going to turn it into a viable, usable product. And that means that you have the autonomy and choice to use the materials that you want to use. And some of you might think, oh, actually, well, I want mine to be hydro-powered. I would like my object to be made of fully biodegradable material. And that's what we call your own design ethics, and where your morals stand in terms of designing. And hopefully you'll be able to think, well, this is really important to me, so that's what I'm going to include in the way that I create things in the world. And just like in science with Mr. Griffin, you might have very strong opinions on a particular topic relating to climate change. And those independent voices, all of your voices, are incredibly important, because you are the next generation responsible for it.
Exactly. You have to have that discussion in the first place. If you don't have that discussion, you can't solve any of the problems from it. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much for listening in to today's podcast. If you would like to hear more about STEM education at Houlton, you can visit our website, and some details will be coming up very shortly. So lastly, we always finish with a bit of a question regarding what you are looking forward to learning next week in your STEM subjects, or something which you are looking forward to maybe learning over even the next year. So me, at the moment, if I go first, I am super excited next week because we've got our first ever practical food and nutrition lesson, and which is going to be focused around plant-based food and its impact on the environment. So I'm super excited to get to grips with doing that with some of the pupils. Max, what are you looking forward to learning in STEM education over the next week or year?
Well, 100% biology, because we just started the subject, and I really want to know biology, because when I'm older I really want to be a brain surgeon, and I really want to learn about all these things. Maybe even in chemistry I could try have a cure for cancer.
Amazing. Yeah, we love that ambition. And what about you, Raphael?
I'm pretty excited for DT because I can't wait to try out all the new tools and expand my ideas of making new things.
Yeah, amazing. And Daisy, what about you?
Well, like you said, I'm excited to learn more recipes and food nutrition because I would like to start learning to do more cooking, and I think it's because everybody cooks around meat, but now we're going with plant-based food. I think it'll be a bit more of a new start.
Yeah, and hopefully we can drag Mr. Griffin into the room, because when we do some molecular gastronomy, where we're kind of taking ingredients and changing the structure of the ingredient, that's when it gets really fun. And it gets a bit like a science lab in the kitchen, which will be good. Heston Blumenthal, yeah, exactly. And what about you, Mr. Griffin, next week or the next year?
I'm a big spreadsheet nerd, so I am looking forward in computing to making some good quality spreadsheets and putting in loads of formula to make our spreadsheets do exactly what we want them to do. So that's going to be really exciting.
Amazing. Okay, thank you very much, Max, Raphael and Daisy, and of course, Mr. Griffin, and we will see you in episode 3. This podcast was brought to you by pupils and staff at Houlton School. If you would like to find out more about Houlton School, please visit our website www.houltonschool.org.uk